You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. I'm so happy to be here with you today, to sit down and to share a thought that's been swirling around in my heart and mind. Recently, I've been reflecting on a concept that's been popping up quite a bit in the community, the phenomenon that has been termed toxic positivity, a term that references an unrealistic expectation or pressure to maintain a positive mindset at all times, dismissing or completely invalidating negative emotions. Toxic positivity is most definitely a practice we shouldn't become involved with. And I noticed that instead of exploring the true essence or intention underlying manifestation or conscious creation, this is often cited as a reason why manifesting doesn't work and why we shouldn't participate in it. This is particularly what I want to discuss with you today, because the notion of practices such as toxic positivity shouldn't be reason enough to decide that you can't intentionally and meaningfully create your own reality, because you can and you do. Instead of focusing on reasons why you can't, let's commit to recognizing healthful and successful ways of engaging with your creative potential so that you can masterfully live a life by your desire and your design. In terms of understanding toxic positivity, if you've spent any time in the manifestation or personal growth spaces, you've probably encountered this idea that in order to manifest the life that you want, you need to maintain this constant, unwavering positivity, filling your mind with positive thoughts, needing to replace or turn around any negative ones. This way of thinking is an illusion wrapped up in advice that is actually a kind of spiritual bypassing that sets you up for more frustration, more confusion, and ultimately stagnation that leads you further and further away from your goals, dreams, and desires. In fact, this kind of approach actually misses the mark by a long shot. If you've been listening to this podcast for a little while, you might recognize that we've discussed this topic before. I will link those episodes in the show notes in case you'd like a refresher on those particular ones. The root of each of those episodes, and this one, is the exploration and affirmation that you do not need to force yourself to think only positive thoughts to manifest or consciously build a fulfilling life. In fact, you shouldn't be doing this. The reason I'm bringing this subject up again today is because I had this very nifty mental download the other day that moved and inspired me. You've come to know that you don't have to force your mind to be positive and that you can successfully manifest as you are. But there is also an active practice and understanding that we can turn to as well. And that is precisely what we're going to explore today. So let's first address why forcing yourself to think only positive thoughts is a pitfall into more frustration and misery and despair. Because you might think that desires are attracted to positivity and an optimistic mindset. And to a degree, this can be true, but really only if it's authentically cultivated. The true issue of believing or being told that the only way to successfully manifest is by always being positive, is that we fall into a trap of our own making, a self-imposed mind jail that does nothing but breed resentment. When we're encouraged to ignore anything inside of us, especially things that feel negative or low vibe, we're siphoning off our ability to tap into a true form of acceptance for ourselves. And by ultimately rejecting ourselves instead, we are distorting our access to the pure potential energy that lives within us and lives within those experiences. It's a complete misnomer when people say that you can't manifest unless you're feeling good all of the time, and that any kind of negative emotion will send your desires running in the opposite direction. When you adopt that kind of thinking, you invite yourself to fear part of yourself. And it's that fear that causes your reality to mirror back to you the outcomes that you're usually trying to avoid, because you're essentially avoiding yourself. You are human. We are human. We are multi-dimensional beings, complex and ever-evolving. We're not made to walk around in a constant state of positive thinking, pretending we feel something that we don't. Our emotional spectrum is rich, deep, and necessary. It's a compass, a guidance system, and is ultimately a wellspring of information that is actually on your side, informing you of your point of attraction. Your base emotions give you direct access into understanding what you've been perceiving and ultimately believing about a particular situation. And it's those precise beliefs that typically play out in your reality. Toxic positivity makes us believe that we have to force our thoughts into a positive box. But when we do this, we're missing the underlying truth that our power as creators comes from how we respond to the thoughts that we have, not necessarily the presence or content of the thoughts themselves. What if I told you that it's not the positive thoughts themselves that create your reality, but instead it's the thoughts that you have in response to your thoughts? Every one of us has fleeting thoughts that run through our minds, thoughts that may not align with what we desire, thoughts that come up in response to the world around us, the uncertainty of the future, the fear of the unknown. Maybe we think, I'm not good enough, or this could never work out for me, or I'm not ready for this. You're human. I'm human. We all have thoughts like these from time to time, but here's the thing. Those thoughts in and of themselves are not the problem here. What really matters is how you respond to them. Do you accept those thoughts as the truth, or do you see them for what they are? Just thoughts, just figments of energy running through your mind. Do you allow them to pass by like fleeting forms, or do you make them true by the story you tell about them? Are you in a place where you can hold space for those thoughts, see them, acknowledge them, and then decide that they don't define you? Or do you allow those thoughts to control you, spin you out of alignment, and pull you further away from your truth? The magic of manifestation is not in the elimination of negative or unwanted thoughts, but in how you choose to meet with them when they arise. And this is where your true power is. So what if instead of forcing your thoughts into positivity, you acknowledge them, you become aware of them, and you gently let them pass through you, choosing to respond with faith and trust, choosing to respond that they're just thoughts. We live in a society that has romanticized the idea of always being happy, always being positive. And so we put on this masked smile, denying the reality of our experience. While I'm all for cultivating joy and positivity, heck, that's the whole purpose of this podcast and this work. and it's to help you to foster a meaningful, joy and bliss-filled life for yourself. And I also know that the way to do that, the way to create this sort of life for yourself, is to honor the full spectrum of your emotions. When you can embrace and work through all of the layers of who you are, the light and the shadow, when you allow yourself to find acceptance for your wholeness, that is what gives access to the magnitude of your creative potential. Intentional and conscious manifesting isn't about shutting out your darkest feelings. It's about learning how to walk with them, learning how to respond to them with patience and compassion and curiosity, and also a little levity. Because often what's underneath those darker emotions is the most brilliant and magnificent treasure. Your whole experience as a spiritual human here on earth is this chance to refine your vision, to clarify your desires, and to strengthen your alignment with the truth of who you are. There's a huge difference between forcing yourself to be positive and acknowledging that while you may not feel great right now, there is something beautiful and meaningful on the other side of the experience that you're having. I think the real secret to manifestation lies in self-compassion. When you can meet yourself where you are, when you can acknowledge the full breadth of your emotional landscape and still trust and have faith in your ability to create the life of your dreams. That's where the magic is. The world around you doesn't expect you to be happy all of the time or always think positive thoughts. What really matters here is that you're being authentic. The world wants you to show up as the real you, not as someone who's constantly pretending to be okay or forcing a positive attitude. Life isn't about always wearing a smile. It's about being genuine and allowing yourself to experience all of the experiences, the ups and downs, while still moving forward with honesty and self-acceptance. When you practice self-compassion, when you allow yourself to be messy and to be human, and when you can sit with your emotions without needing to control them, your reality will start to unfold effortlessly. The only thing blocking you from your desires is in your response, which is always a skill that can be honed and always a choice that you can make. When you stop resisting yourself and your life and your thoughts and your experience, when you stop judging yourself, you create space for your desires to come to fruition. So, my invitation for today is this. The next time you catch yourself trying to push away a negative thought, notice it, think it, and then respond to it with curiosity. What is this? What is this trying to tell me? What was I thinking about? What was I feeling about? And respond to it with love. Thank you for informing me of this. I'm so excited to turn this around, or I'm curious to know how I can turn this around. This is such valuable and meaningful information. The magic unfolds from there. You are always on the right path, and your ability to consciously choose how you respond will be the guidepost that carries you forward. Until next time.